going live.
The button is pushed. We're live for a manic, as all manic Mondays.
What a weekend, huh? What a weekend in sports.
What a weekend in sports. Yeah, this is one of those weekends where there's so much going on that it feels like it doesn't feel like Monday because it just feels like the work week went right into the weekend and it was sports 24/7. And now here we are Monday again somehow already. But the Bills are 4-0. Go Bills.
The Bills are 4-0. Redskins lost. Penn State lost. Penn State.
James Franklin can't win the big one.
Well, you know what?
I know you're a James Franklin stan.
I am, and here's why. There's about 10 to 12 teams that you can count on. There's about 10 to 12 teams that you can count on that are always going to be in the mix in college football. And Penn State's one of them. And have they been to the top? No, but last year they were Final Four. And they've been in the top 10 probably 10 of the past 12 years. I'm okay with being right there and never getting it done. As opposed, the alternative is you just like hope for marginal improvement. I mean, we're talking about like being 1 point away, one play away, one situation away, several times over the last decade, and coming up short almost every time. I don't know.
Do you want to make the tie to what wrestling program you drew the comparison to?
Well, you know what? Like 2 months ago, I put into our show notes that because there was a lot of chatter if James Franklin doesn't get it done this year. If James Franklin doesn't get it done this year, because Penn State has all this expectation, James Franklin doesn't get it done this year, he should be canned. And back then, I disagreed with it, and it made me think, like, James Franklin right now is Tom Brand's. Like, Tom Brand's, how can you not be happy? I mean, sports fans in general like to be miserable. But how can you not be happy with what Tom Brands in Iowa is? They're always there. They're always in the conversation. They're always in the picture. Penn State in wrestling's hot right now. Okie State's coming up. But I was right there. What you want is constant pressure. What you want is constant relevance. And Tom Brands and Iowa does do that. And James Franklin and Penn State football does that. So to me, you're just hoping, like if you're a Penn State whiner, you're just hoping that something, I don't know, who are they going to replace him with? I don't know, but something got to change. I mean, shut up. They're excellent. You know, and somebody else last night, I didn't tell anybody this. The only person that knew that I compared him to James Franklin to Tom Brands was you, because I put it in the notes. And a wrestling fan last night, that's also a Penn State fan, said, you know, James Franklin's a lot like Mark Manning. And I said, I had a similar thought. But I used Tom Brands, but Mark Manning's not a bad example. I don't know.
Quick programming note. Larry in the chat says, are we going to get 2 episodes this week? I'm stuck home with COVID. I feel fine. Just sleeping, blah, 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 blah. We are getting dangerously close to that time of year, Willie, where we do have to commit to 2 shows a week again. We've been lackadaisical. It's harder during the summer. Now we're getting back close to that time where I don't know if we're officially back, but like we've been doing one show for a long time now, or weekly shows for a long time now. We do got to get back to the season's close enough, 2 shows a week.
Yeah, let's do 2 shows a week. I'm game. Especially when I don't travel. When I don't travel, I love doing 2 shows.
Yeah. No, when you travel, it's definitely harder.
When I travel, it's either like the Thursday, Friday, the late week show is tough because I'm leaving, or the Monday show is tough because I'm coming home, and but I'll be home for a while. So let's do two. Let's play two. Speaking of let's play two, how's the Mets?
Dunzo. Dunzo.
Good.
Yankees Red Sox tomorrow. That'll be a good one. 3-game series. All right, Willie. Wrestling. Let's talk some headlines. It's not the craziest week in wrestling, but there's things we can dive into and talk about. Our last show was a 2-hour Worlds recap. If you missed that, go back and listen to all the storylines and takeaways from the World Championships. But let's dive into some random headlines and news tidbits, and we'll give you our commentary.
Yeah, there's really not anything pressing like over the top we need to discuss, but there's a lot of little nuggets. What do you got for us?
All right, well, let's start with we have a couple weeks ago now, but it was officially finally announced that Vincenzo Joseph is returning to the great state of PA. I'm actually jealous you guys are going to basically be neighbors. So you got to be very happy. Cenzo announced he's leaving UNC. He's going to be assistant coach at Lehigh. I think it's a great hire. Great hire ahead of a year where Lehigh has an incredible lineup.
He texted me. I text him, trade me stuff, talking about other stuff, and talking about fantasy football and stuff. And then he goes, but where in Easton should I move? And I'm like, I don't know. Let's talk about football. And he's like, no, I'm serious. I need to know where to move. So I think he moved to Easton, but which is right where I am. But I gotta get with him. Those guys, him and Zach Ray constantly. I miss, and I gotta go hang out with him. I love it. I love having Lehigh's right down the street, near and dear to my heart. I love that program, and they're doing, they're making big strides, and I love Cenzo, and so, yeah, I think it's a good move for Cenzo. I felt like he wanted to get back sort of in the Northeast. I felt like he wanted to get back sort of PA-ish area, and he did. And he got some good experience under his wings with a couple stops along the way, Stanford and Arizona State and North Carolina. And, yeah, he's a very likable character and relates well to kids. And I think he's going to do really well at Lehigh. It's sort of same kind of people and same kind of temperament. And if he should ever, if he sticks around for a while, I think he'd make a good head coach somewhere someday.
And when you talk about like that Lehigh lineup, like he's going to come on the show soon. We were talking about it, like he's overdue to come on and talk about his move to Lehigh, what he's been up to, all that. But if you look at the Lehigh lineup and how much like having a middleweight guy like Cenzo in the room, you talk Logan at 57, Brignola at 65, like Cenzo's going to make those guys that much better. And then it was also announced shortly after, like not even a week later, that Kerkvliet, Daniel Gregg, is also heading to Lehigh. And I feel like any time Penn State doesn't retain 100 out of 100 guys who graduate, there seems to be a lot of chatter. And I don't really know why in this sport people graduate, they go to a different RTC. He likes Lehigh, he likes Zach Ray, he likes that room. I think it's a good little change of scenery for him. What did you make of the news of Kirk to Lehigh?
I had forgot about that. Somebody told me about that like a month or two ago, and I completely forgot about it. Penn State clearly has excellent people to train with up top. That being said, Lehigh is really good there. Zach Ray,
Mike Mock.
I think the world of Zach Ray, and it makes a lot of sense to me. I mean, now I have no idea why you don't stay at Penn State, But if he wanted to get a different look, wanted to get a different feel, something has maybe something with his career. I don't know. Education. I don't know. Um, Lehigh is not a bad place to train, uh, and they have better pizza. Maybe heavyweights. Maybe heavyweights. They're like, hey, let's go somewhere where there's good pizza, which is definitely better than State College. Um, but good room for.
Not to mention they have a top 10 guy at heavyweight, Nathan Taylor, heading into the year this year.
Yeah, that's good for him too. I mean, that's good the other way. And Lehigh has a ton of. They got several good heavyweight prospects. Um, they got Bechtold coming in next year, who, I mean, he's like 1-4 against Mako. But what I'm saying is he's right there, right? And you get Kerkvliet and Ray and Jordan Wood to roll with him, and then they even got some other guys, Singer and Wiedemoyer coming in, and they got a guy that has a lot of promise that was a state champ. Dang it, the name Rowan Holmes. His name's Rowan Holmes. He was really not like a national name because he's just an athlete. Played football.
Yeah.
But he was a state finalist and then a state champ in Pennsylvania, and he's very promising. They got a bunch of heavyweights, got a bunch of upper weights coming in that are really solid. So,
yeah, it's a good move, and I think that again, it's I don't know why Penn State gets a lot of hate, so it is what it is. But like, as soon as he leaves, there's like people poo-pooing. Is this because of this? Is this because of that? Like, stop. Overreaction. A guy leaves for change of scenery. It is what it is.
yeah, but you have to understand that. I don't think that people really understand. Like, Lehigh's a really good environment. They have a very good culture, and really, they have a really good relationship with Penn State. Like, Lehigh's coaching staff and Penn State, there's a really good friendship there on multiple fronts.
So we have Cenzo and Kirk to Lehigh, and then it was also announced that Enoch is leaving UNC as well, and he is going to be the new executive director of IMG Academy in Bradenton, Florida, near the Flamingo Room. Their IMG Academy is starting a wrestling program, and Enoch is going to be leading that up.
Yeah, it's an interesting situation. Well, for the first thing, it's the transition from Cenzo to Enoch's interesting because they're both at North Carolina, and so now there's 2 vacancies at North Carolina. And hell, I guess if I would have put my thinking cap on before we did the show, we could have talked about what vacancies still exist in D1. There's some assistants out there that still exist, I believe. There's another one that popped up. I just became aware of it in that Northwestern is going to look to add a guy. But anyway, North Carolina is going to have to replace those 2, and IMG is a very interesting sort of situation and model. It's certainly different than anything else in high school wrestling, and that's in that it's a campus, and they're not going to be NFHS eligible, right? So you go to IMG Academy and train there and compete there, you're not going to be allowed to go to, say, Ironman. You're not going to be allowed to wrestle in the state tournament, right? So it's going to be, you're going to have some creative scheduling. You'll have to wrestle like in season. If you have any sort of season whatsoever, um, you'd have to do it against other teams that don't have to abide by NFHS regulations, which largely means national prep teams. But they can, they won't be able to go to traditional tournaments. So that's the first thing. So you're going to have to find, some athletes that are okay with saying, I'll forego hitting the in-season majors for the sake of long-term success. I believe I'm okay with believing in the training here, so that when Super 32 comes and Vegas comes and Fargo comes and your Florida State freestyle comes, that's where the litmus test will be. Now, I think that's perfectly fine. I think that's, in some cases, I think it's maybe a little bit healthier than a regular in season. And I could talk about that for 3 days. However, I think I'm in the minority on that. And I think that parents don't like that. Parents like to see Johnny wrestle in the Beast of the East. Parents like to see little Tommy wrestle in the state tournament. They think taking fourth in the state is the greatest thing ever. And, my kid's all state. And so that might be a hurdle to overcome. Now, from what I understand, Enoch's going to be like a director.
Correct.
And as opposed to like the head coach. And so they're going to have to find, they're looking for head coaches. And that should be interesting. There's some good candidates out there. I know a couple that are interested. And if you say, if you want to ask, well, why do they need a director? Why do they need a director? Right? You wrestle for Easton High School. They don't have a director. They have a head coach, and that's fine. Well, IMG is a little different. There's a lot of different hats to wear, and to manage that is a job in and of itself, I think, in that you need to actively recruit. You need to sort of manage the scholarships, because they have this plan that they'll provide 10 or 15 scholarships, but that is to be sort of made up by 20 or 30 full-time paying students with 20 to 30 full-time paying wrestlers. And it's like 90 grand. So you not only have to find like 10, 15, 20 elite guys, you need to find like 10, 15, 20 emerging guys that are willing to pay, And so that's one angle of it. Another angle is they want to make X number of dollars on camp. So you're going to have to be setting up and organizing and doing the logistics and the management of everything for these summer camps and everything that goes along with it, which is not easy. So that's the reason that they need a director.
Makes sense. Yeah, I put out a graphic that said he was the head coach, and he's like, not the head coach, director. So then I started looking into that, and yeah, it makes sense, everything you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, my first reaction was, well, they need a director for, but that's why the more I talked to people, the more I understood their model.
Yeah, it makes sense. All right, next up on the list, Willie, you have new high school rankings out. So I
I
thought, why don't we maybe go through the new top 10 pound for pound, kind of a little quick overview. And obviously, if you guys want the full rankings, it's rockfin.com/Matt Scouts. It should be in the description of the video. But click on rankings, and there you'll have it. It is now the title of the video, or the title of the article says Elite 8 Duels Rankings Update. I told Willie he should just call it National High School Rankings. So if you're confused looking for it, that's what it's called.
Yeah, so new rankings came out after a flurry of activity with Indiana Hoosier preseason, and I tweeted this a week or so ago. Is that wrestling in this country is so great? There's so many good sort of selfless people that put on events like Joe Caprino in Indiana from Indiana Matt and Frank Papalizio and the guys at Grappler Fall Classic and there's a thousand things, not a thousand, but there's a handful. There's 10 or so, and they just they're not making a ton of money on this stuff, if at all. Like I mean, they're not making maybe not even enough money that it justifies all the work that goes into it. But it's really good in this fall run up to have several weeks of great competition to lead into what is all kind of a Super Bowl, because we're coming off, we have this gap between Fargo and Super 32, and not everybody, Fargo's not for everybody, and Fargo's not, some kids are hurt for Fargo and can't go, or whatever the case may be. You have this long layoff and you need to get back assimilated to peaking for Super 32. And so you have Hoosier preseason and you have Grappler Fall Classic, and there's another one I'm missing in there. But you have a bunch of duels. Elite 8 duels was great. So this update came after taking into account Hoosier preseason, Elite 8 duels, and a couple other things. Grappler Fall Classic and Columbus Day duels was this past weekend, so there's a fresh batch of rankings coming Wednesday, but they're kind of minor, just clarifications, not clarifications, just minor adjustments, and that will be then sort of final for, or maybe maybe I'll wait a week and do it after Journeyman, and that'll be final before Super 32. But as we stand now, Jack's Forest is number one on pound for pound. 3 of the top 4 are McCort guys. I have Forrest, Bassett, Drayshawn, then Melvin. I think Flo has it with Melvin ahead of Drayshawn, and I have no real issue with that. But
it's always funny, too, real quick before you move on. It is funny how much of a mixed reaction there is about Bish and McCort having three of the top 4 guys. Because on one hand, you get a lot of like these poo-pooers talking about age and guys moving. And it's like, I understand the argument. But to me, it's just regardless of how. In professional sports, you have Yankees, Cowboys, all these historical teams try to build a super team and win championships, and you see it doesn't happen. It's not as easy as, just get the best talent and the best this and that, and you have a championship team. It still takes a lot of development, and I still think, regardless of any of the negatives people want to say about Bishop McCort, I still think it's incredibly impressive that a single high school has 3 of the top 4 pound-for-pound guys in the country.
Yeah, I mean, I have mixed feelings on it, too. I mean, like, first of all, Melvin and Bo are basically brothers.
Yeah.
So I mean, they're going to go to the same high school, right? I don't know. I don't think there's anything to take away. There's nothing to poo-poo on it, but like, I don't know. I mean, Jax is from North Carolina. You know, I don't know. I don't know how else to put it. I mean,
Yeah, but I
he's
just
one
think,
of
I
the
mean,
best.
you
He's
also have,
one of the best dudes on planet Earth, and you bring him in, and you're pound for pound. Yeah, he's pound for me. Yeah,
yeah, I mean, I think you do see guys moving, especially like, again, same. I kind of thought the same thing back when Apple Valley had such an incredible team. It's like, yeah, I get guys move and drive, and I think it was a couple months ago we were talking on the show, laughing about it. Didn't Mark Hall coming back to you? I forgot what the tweet was, talking about how he drove 3 hours to school or whatever it was. Oh, I can't remember.
I don't know. Apple Valley was funny, man. I mean, it's like it's not that. I mean, they were sort of extreme. I mean, there's a long history of and I started wrestling when it like first happened. Like when
Yeah.
kids started like moving, it started locally. Like one or two guys would move from a school that their team really wasn't great to a school that was really good in the state,
Yep.
and then it kept just exacerbating, and people would move farther, and people would move across the country, and but there was always a funny thing about that particular Apple Valley team, and that the one year that they had a kid, that was like a 2 or 3 time state champ from Alaska, and they also had Mason Manville, who was from Virginia, and they said Apple Valley. That the people that didn't like him said Apple Valley from Alaska to Virginia, and they had a bunch of other states in there. I mean, St. Paris Graham did it too. Like kids have moved from all over the country to go to Jordan camps, and they'd go to Jordan camps, and then they'd get immersed in the system, and then they would just move there. And so, yeah, but I mean, I'm not taking anything away from Bishop McCort, so to speak, but I mean, it is certainly notable and impressive, but it comes with context.
Yeah. No, 100%. My other note as you go on here, and keep going to the top 10, is that 4 of the top 7 committed to Oklahoma State.
For the top 7, so you got Jax Forrest #1, Drayshawn #3, Jordan Rainey and Jayden Rainey 6 and 7, all committed to Oklahoma State. And then you got #20, Rockland Zinkin, also committed to Oklahoma State. Penn State has 1, #5, Jaden James. Iowa has 1, Michael Mako. Ohio State for Adam Waters at #10. Missouri with Antonio Mills, #11. Aaron Stewart, #12, Illinois. Brant Herrer, #13, Rutgers. Lehigh with Dean Bechtold, who I was mentioned earlier. Yep. And Moses Mendoza, who's been wrestling lights out, at #16. Once you get like so far down, I don't know, maybe past Aaron Stewart, and you get into Brant Herrer and Cayden and maybe Bechtold. That's when you really have to start digging into, and it's not just this personnel, it's not just who's here, but anytime you start getting into the teams, you start like having to really parse out who deserves to be in the top 20. I do top 20 pound for pound. Just seems to be like the right number of kids who deserve it, and then conversation. Mm-hmm. But a couple months ago, when seniors came out and I had to put new seniors in, it becomes not a chore, but you have to do your work, and it's like, okay, who should be in, who should be out, and I was like, Moses Mendoza has a case, and I really at the time was like, I don't know if Moses Mendoza is pound for pound material. I tell you what, I'm glad I put him in because he is good.
Do
He is
you
damn
think
good.
we have a comment in the chat about Iowa with only 1 pound for pound guy in the top 20 committed? Do you see many? Or, there's not many left, but any more of these top 20? Do you seeing them go to Iowa?
Let's see. Well, Bassett and Melvin. Here's who's uncommitted in the pound for pound: Bassett and Melvin. I missed Kobe Merrill. Kobe Merrill's committed to Iowa State. I didn't have that in here. Bassett, Miller, 2 and 4. Landon Cayden, 14. Freddie Bachman, Gray Burnett, Paul Kenny.
And Gray put out, I put out a graphic for him last week with his top 3. I believe it was Penn State, Ohio State, Nebraska. I believe.
Yeah, I didn't see that, but that maps with what I was told in Greece at Cadet Worlds. Was that those were the 3 that he was gonna look at? I don't. So, all right, let's go through it. Bassett and Miller, to me, are down to Nebraska and Virginia Tech. I don't know who it is. I know that they really enjoyed their time at Virginia Tech. I think it will come shortly. Now, I say they love their time at Virginia Tech. I think they really love their time at Nebraska, too.
Yeah.
But, Virginia Tech was last. So I don't know. I think that the coaching staffs from each institution really like their chances. And so I think Bassett and Miller, I think they're either Nebraska or Virginia Tech. And so I don't think I was in play there. Landon Cayden, I think, is in play there at Iowa. I think that's a possibility. From Jump Street, now, when I talked to Landon's coach, probably May, because I was talking to him right before June 15th first calls. He was open to a lot of schools, but he really had some major schools like outlined, like this is my top 3. And so I think Cayden is going to end up at a big one.
Yeah, he was at Penn State this weekend for the whiteout game.
Yeah, so I think he's like Iowa, Penn State. I think it's probably one of those 2 for Cayden. So I was in play there. Bachman and Kenny, number 17 and number 19, I think they're squarely in play for Iowa. And they're like boys. The Bachmans and the Kennys are like tight. And they were both in Iowa this weekend.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think they're both in play there. Now, long ago, the Bachmans have been good so long that you normally don't ask like the dad of a freshman and an 8th grader or like a sophomore and a freshman, hey, what schools do you like? But the Bachmans were so good so long. I did, I said, hey, Fred, what schools do the boys like? And one of the first teams that he brought up, which kind of surprised me, was Missouri. You don't get a lot of PA Missouri connections. And so I think Missouri's in play for the Bachmans as well. At least they were. And Gray Burnett, I don't think I was in play for him. I think it's
Penn State, Ohio State, Nebraska.
Yeah, and I don't know that. I don't know. I just feel like it's not Nebraska. I don't know that. I just feel that. And so I think it's Ohio State, Nebraska, Ohio State, Penn State. And so so they got one. Iowa. The question was Iowa. They got number 9, Mako. I don't think Melvin. I don't think Bo. I think Seiden's a possibility. I think Bachman's a possibility, and I think Kenny's a possibility.
When is the last time there was a bundle as valuable as Bo and Melvin as far as recruits go? Cody Pelver wants to know in the chat.
Cody Pelver. When is the last time there was a bundle as valuable as Bo and Melvin? I mean, could you say last year? I mean, could you say 3 months ago or 6 months ago with the Rainies? I mean, I think
That's what I lean.
I think a lot of people like the Rainies. I think a lot of people like. Now, I'm not saying the Rainies are better, but package deal conversation, right? Just the conversation of itself. I'm not saying they're better than Bo and Melvin, but I'm saying that was a big package deal, right? So, I think there's a lot to like. I think generally speaking, fans like their energy, fans like their style, and I think fans generally believe that the Rainies are guys that are not finished products. So I think that was the last package deal. But that's a good question. Before that, I'm not so sure.
Nick Costco is in the chat advocating for Kenny to stay home for Rutgers. And that's how he spelled it.
I know the Rutgers guys really want Kenny. I don't know if it's going to happen. I would like to see it. Middich put out, the assistant coach at Rutgers put out something the other day, something like that. One of those tweets that like you put out when you land a big recruit. And I didn't inquire as to what that was all about, or I didn't see any more about it, but Nick might know.
Give us the scoop, Nick. Do you need the link to join the show to give us the scoop? All right, so that's the uncommitted top 20. That's the new high school rankings. Go to rockfin.com/MattScout. Again, ignore the dubious title. It's called Elite 8 Duels Rankings Update if you're having a problem finding it.
Larry Steele says before the Rainies, the answer was the Altons. I don't think so. Like, the Altons were a monster package duo, but the Valencias were in between there. The Valencias at the time were huge package deal.
Yeah. Good recall. And
William. We're gonna, the Kennys, Paulie Kenny, that's gonna be a good package deal. The Bachmans are gonna be a good package deal. Antonio Mills and Tequavius Mills are committed to Missouri. I get the indication that Araya, who just won Cadet Worlds, I don't think he's going to Missouri. Not at this time. I mean, the kid's going to be a freshman, right? So who knows? But, I mean, most of the time, it's not often, unless they're twins or brothers, that it is a package deal. I don't really remember the last time teammates were like. I mean, a lot of us had the inclination like Bo and Jax are going to go to the same place, and that just didn't materialize. But I don't recall off the top of my head two like non-brothers training partners or high school teammates that were like a package deal.
Yeah. All right, so that's the latest in the high school rankings. Couple smaller tidbits now to discuss. Number one is, we've been talking really for the past year about Vito and his injuries, And we haven't heard too much publicly. We've just heard that he has lingering issues. And he put out a video last night that's saying he is in Monterey, California today, having surgery. He has 2 herniated discs in his neck. And it sounds like this is what the problem's been all the way back to his senior year in college. So herniated discs are no joke. They're really serious. And he said he's been getting stingers down in arms and not good stuff. So I'm glad he's going to get medical help, and that surgery hopefully provides relief. Neck injuries are always funny, man. We were talking about it before the show. Like, it's one of those things that's hard to come back from because your neck is just, it's so crucial to your body that you can't, if you have something going wrong and you risk it, like, it's bad. So I'm glad he's getting surgery. Hopefully he has a full recovery and he's back on the mat. But I believe that surgery is today now.
Interesting timing. We could see, there were rumors leading up to Final X. Vito did miss a significant portion of time and then delayed his wrestle off. And you could sort of see that whatever the case was, Vito wasn't 100% right.
Yep.
And now, it's sort of revealed what that issue was. Interesting timing because Vito's relatively young, but those neck and back and nerve and discs and everything, they are tough injuries. And it comes in 2025, which you would think probably means...
Larry Steele just said greatest injury ever was Willie's quote-unquote turf toe that everyone knew was gout, but Willie.
Larry's a long time. Larry pays attention, boy.
Everyone knew it was gout, but Willie. Oh, man, that's good. Sorry, keep going.
I really didn't know. I really sincerely, listen, when, you know how people say, everybody knew it was this except for this person. That's true. I really did not. I don't think I've ever heard the term gout before I had it. I didn't even know what it was. I never heard it. I never knew anything about it. All I know is that I woke up one morning and my foot hurt. And then it went away. And so, like, I remember this vividly. I chalked it up. I thought I got bit by a spider. I was like, I must have got bit by a spider. I don't know. I don't know what the hell it was. It went away. And it came back, like, I don't know, 6 months later, I couldn't even move. It was painful. I don't know. I must have kicked the door or something. I don't know what I did. It was my toe. And I was like, I think, and I looked stuff up, and I was like, it must be turf toe. And everybody was like, bro, you drank too much. It's gout. And I'm like, gout? What the hell is gout? I didn't even heard of gout. And like, I don't go to the doctor or nothing. Like, so it happened like 2 or 3 times. I'm like, I gotta do something about this. So I went to the doctor and like, yeah, that's gout. And I'm like, God damn it. Everybody's right.
Yeah, sorry, I was laughing as you were talking Vito's injury, and I was reading the chat, so I wanted to get it out that I wasn't laughing at Vito's injury. I'm laughing at Larry Steele.
Well, I guess, by the way, I ain't got gout no more. I take a pill and nothing happens, ever. But, yeah, Vito's injury, I mean, if he wants to continue, I hope he continues. He's a real talent, and I hope, I want to see all these guys reach their dreams, and Vito's done a lot in the sport already. But what I'm saying is you would think that if he gets his procedure done and see how he feels, and if he recovers all right, that's probably going to be a whole nother year. And then you're into basically 2027.
Yeah.
And so it'll be, I would imagine.
And herniated disc from my understanding is that recovery can be from a couple months to a year. Like, there doesn't seem to be a clear timetable, let alone with having multiple herniated discs.
Yeah, I don't know. That's another thing. I don't know much about gout, and I don't know much about herniated discs.
We work with a lot of chiropractors, so I hear it a lot. All right, so and I do. By the way, I love athletes communicating, so I think it's awesome that Vito put out that quick 60-second video, keeping his fans informed, especially when there has been so much speculation over the past couple of years, like what's going on with him. So, love to see that. I always think it's better when athletes communicate.
Chat is wild.
Yeah, the chat's out on this Monday.
I have a cousin who was the last person to know she was pregnant. My mom had a friend. My mom had a friend for real in high school. My mom had a friend. She was a bigger girl. She was a bigger girl, and they were in high school, and she was having stomach pains, and they took her to the hospital, and she was going into labor.
That's wild.
Wild.
All right, Willie, we're getting closer to the end of my topics here. My next one. First of all, okay, let's start with RAF 2. More matchups are being announced, and the Mugzy Cayden Henschel match got announced, and of course I knew this reaction was going to come. Why this match? And I had tweeted out that if you have half a brain, you know why this one. And wasn't meant to obviously insult people who don't know why, but these are two mega influencers. Cayden Henschel has over 300,000 on Instagram, I think 500,000 or something like that on YouTube. Mugzy is Mugsy's almost at like 1 million, I think, on Instagram. And, you know, a funny story I was just telling somebody the other day to kind of put in perspective Mugzy and Cayden's influence. We do a lot of work with Burrows and his academy. And we were talking about different things. And long story short, he was saying how kids at his academy weren't alive when he won the Olympics. If you were not a teenager, you did not see Jordan Burroughs win Olympic gold. And Jordan said that if any of these kids in his academy are on YouTube, it's Mugzy, it's Cayden Henschel. These are the guys that younger wrestlers and younger fans are paying attention to. And I've said this for years, that like it's not just winning that creates relevance, it's creating content. Bo Bartlett did an incredible job building his brand through content. And, you know, people want to follow that content. They like the flips, this and that. And, like, Jordan's kids in his academy, it's all Cayden and it's Mugzy. And it's like Jordan wants to do stuff with those guys. And one of the reasons is because of these massive audiences that they've grown. So when I saw the match happen, I'm like, well, this makes a ton of sense. Like, these are two guys. I look at it like this, to me, is the RAF squad trying to kind of pull a little bit of a card from the pro wrestling, like the WWE mantra, which is like bring in the David Spade, Dennis Rodman, this guy, that guy, because it creates eyeballs. And then, of course, if you become aware of RAF because of those two guys, then stick around and watch Mason Paris, watch Kyle Snyder. This isn't like the match of all matches because of what the actual score is going to be. It's about the awareness that they can bring to RAF.
Yeah, that's wild to me. I didn't even think about it like that, as far as like a newer generation of people online kind of not knowing Jordan Burroughs, but seeing videos of some of these content creators. I never really thought of it like that. Like,
it's crazy. I didn't either.
Maybe if you're like 16 and like you don't know who Jordan Burroughs is, but you've seen Mugzy do videos of wrestling. That's
and not even just
I believe it, but I never thought of it that way.
Yeah. And it's not even not necessarily just not knowing who Jordan Burroughs is. It's being alive to see him win Olympic gold and have that fandom carry with you. You know, whereas like if you now, even when I have some of these kids on and they talk about wrestlers they looked up to throughout their younger days, it's David Taylor, it's Kyle Dake. Like, it's crazy how it just keeps getting younger and younger. And, Jordan's what, like 35 now? It's like that happens. But, Cayden Henschel's a monster. He's one of the best content creators in wrestling. So when you look at it from that lens, I think the match makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, you guys obviously know that I'm involved in some of the matchmaking and some of the operations at Real American Freestyle, and but I'm not involved with all of it, and so like any company, you're not going to sort of agree with everything, and when I first heard they were doing it or pursuing it, I was like, man, I don't know about this. I'm like, I'm not real jazzed about this angle and the perception and the optics of it, and the spirit of it. Like, why you're trying to create a competitive, professional echelon, and these guys certainly aren't that. And then I was thinking about it, and I was like, that is true, but how about just have some fun? How about have high level matches, but also have a little fun? It's okay to have a little fun.
Well, that's why I like the
And
Holly
so,
Holm match. Like, I think
yeah, and so, well, Holly was a little different because Holly wasn't really scheduled. I mean,
No,
you had an
I
Olympic silver
understand.
medalist
Yeah,
that
I
at
get it.
the
I'm just saying.
11th hour fell out. Right?
I get it.
And
I'm just
so,
saying. I like the notion of having a match or two that's, call it a gimmick match at WrestleMania.
yeah,
You can still have
yeah,
the premium matches while having a
right,
gimmicky matchup.
right. And so then, like, nobody told me that. Nobody like talked me off the ledge. I was just thinking, like, I was like, yeah. Like, nobody's saying it's for a title. Nobody's saying they're getting a title shot next. They're just two guys that are very popular on social media platforms, and they're gonna wrestle. And so what? Have fun. Have
For
fun
the
with it. And maybe because there's thousands of people that follow them, maybe we get new eyeballs into the sport. I don't know. I mean, what does it hurt? It's not gonna do anything wrong. Nobody's gonna get hurt over it. So, um, I'm sort of a purist, and but uh, I would like to see the guy that took fifth from Albania more than I would like to see, like, say, Cayden Henschel. Um, but that's because I'm a wrestling dork. There's more people. I'm probably outnumbered. More people probably want to see Cayden Henschel, right? And so, yeah, have some fun.
Yeah, and for the chat, yeah, I know the match happened at a Beat the Streets gala. I don't think that takes away too much from it. Again, nobody's necessarily
and
nobody's just tuning in because they want to see necessarily who's going to win the match. They want to see the. I don't want to see the spectacle.
For the statement, for the sector of people that say, well, it was already done before. Well, so what? So what? Number one, it wasn't. I'm sorry, but it wasn't done on this stage. It wasn't done on this level. The team at RAF will produce some pieces around it to tell these guys stories, to say why they're important, to say the significance that they've brought people into wrestling. And I think it'll be a feel-good story. So the fact that they have wrestled before, who cares? To me, who cares?
Yeah, I agree. Now, I did see there's some questions, Willie. It literally just happened right before we went live, so I didn't get to ask you before. So, Zahid Valencia is apparently wrestling in PWL 10, I believe it is, something like that. PWL 10. Yeah, November 8th. They have not announced his opponent yet. Will that impede his ability to compete in RAF? I know there's, don't compete in competitive leagues. That's international in Moscow. How does that
Yeah,
factor in?
yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, one of two things is not going to happen. Zahid's not going to wrestle. Nobody. It's not Zahid. Nobody's going to wrestle in another league and then come to RAF, or come to RAF and then go in another league and come back to RAF. You're gonna RAF contracts are exclusive, and I don't see that changing.
Yeah.
So, if Zahid wrestles in PFL, then he won't wrestle in RAF, or vice versa. Um, and that probably goes for everybody. Uh, Pevler, you like, if I say left, you'll say right on everything. I think you just do it so I mention you on the show. You're alienating the main audience. Who is the main audience, bud? Who's the main audience? So if Mason Paris wrestles Kyle Snyder, but Cayden Henschel's on the card, then people aren't going to watch because they're going to be mad. Like, I ain't watching it.
Right. It's not taking away. It's adding another match. It's not taking away from something. All right, Willie. That's all my points for the show. What else you got?
Well, we didn't talk about Mangano, huh? Is your Penn State meter down this morning?
You know what? You're right.
Giant boner over Gavin Mangano.
So yeah, I forgot to put that in the show notes. The 2 commitments over the weekend. It'd help if you added a show note once in a while. So yeah, Gavin to Penn State. He's the number 13 overall recruit in Willie's class of 2027. The KD Training Center pipeline to Penn State continues there. And we also had a shocker, Hayden Schwab, overall 15 in the class, decide to stay home literally, and he will compete for UNI and be coached by his father, which I think is awesome. Thoughts on those 2 commitments?
Well, Hayden's like no duh, and I really like it for UNI. The family story is great. Don't get me wrong, but I like it for UNI because I think they're really good at coaching wrestling, and they're a good story for NCAA wrestling, and I think they coach people up. I think they're sort of the little dog that could, and overachievers, and I believe in them. I believe in Doug and Randy Pugh and that staff for developing talent. And I think that Hayden has a lot of potential. And so I like it from a purely, not a family angle, but I like it for the development of Hayden and the competitiveness of UNI. I also think it'll probably help them get some other guys, maybe Dawson Youngblood or Gavin Landers, or Iowa has a pretty good crop of talent right in that same age group that, one domino falls and you get a couple others.
Yeah.
So I like it for that reason. Mangano's interesting because I think he's, I got some questions, like even before this, like, and it's not just Mangano, it's other people, but why do you like Mangano? Well, why do you like Max Konopka? Or why do you like this? What has this guy done? What has this guy won? What is it? Well, first of all, they're entering their junior year. They only wrestled 2 or their 4 years left, so none of them have a complete resume. None of them are done. Only half their body of work is in the books, right? So, but Mangano, to place at Super 32 in the middleweights as a sophomore, like, and early, like before your sophomore season even begins,
yeah,
that is not a lot of people do that. Um, so you could look at it and say, "Oh, Gavin Mangano, he only placed fifth at Super 13. Yeah, or sixth. Yeah, as an incoming sophomore, uh, go see how many other incoming sophomores placed. Go see how many incoming sophomores above like I don't know 120 placed. Not many, pal. Um,
Yeah, pal.
so that's just on resume. And then if you look at his style, I really like his style. I really like how he wrestles. I like his toughness. I mean, if you go watch his state final, I mean, I'm pretty sure he snaps his ankle in the middle of it and still finishes out the entire second, third period. Um, but I like the way he wrestles. I like his skill set. Uh, he comes from a good club. Um, yeah, I've always been high on him. But he's registered now, entering his junior year. Um, Again, early in his junior year, he's registered for Super 32 at 138, and I think he's probably. But I think he's ended up big frame. I think he's eventually 65 ish.
Yeah. It's good to get from the Nittany Lions.
Yeah, a couple people in the chat asking that is Melvin limiting his options because of Bo? Somebody said is Melvin limiting his choices because, as somebody put it in the chat, Bo burned bridges. I don't think so. I don't think so. I mean, it's Melvin has his pick of the litter. Melvin could go anywhere he wants, free of charge. Um, and I really don't understand the. I really don't understand the. Is he limiting? There's been at least two questions in this chat
Yeah, I
that
saw
says
them.
is Melvin limiting himself? Uh, Melvin can go anywhere, and he knows it. He just preferred to go where Bo goes, and uh, what is being limited? I don't understand what's being limited. Like
Well, I think what people.
the schools that like are allegedly in the final group, and the list of like 7 schools that he put out about a month ago. There's nothing limited about that. Like they are the top schools. He's not like choosing like Slippery Rock. And it's not Bloomsburg that's on that list.
Yeah, and I don't think people realize that, like, just because Bo is the oldest of the brothers and went first, I don't think this was like, this has been all about the family since day one. So I don't think if Bo decides not to go to Iowa, just because Bo is the first one to commit there or experience it, I'm sure whatever frustrations on the Bassett side that there were, I think Melvin was in on those. It doesn't seem, I mean, as soon as Bo decommitted from Iowa, Melvin put out a new top 6 with Iowa gone, and it was Oklahoma State, Ohio State, Virginia Tech, Michigan, Penn State, Nebraska. And it was family first. I don't think it was like, oh, well, hey, Big Bro did this, so I got to do this. I think
Yeah, I
whatever
don't.
the
I
issues
think.
were, they were together.
I mean, I can only assume that the people in the chat that are saying, "Is he limiting himself? Is he pigeonholing himself?" I can only assume you are fans of other programs because his school list is fine. His school list is elite. His school list is perennial top 10 teams in America.
And by the way,
And so,
we're assuming they're committing together. That's just assuming they commit somewhere. If Bo decides to go to Nebraska and Melvin decides to go somewhere else, like that, everyone's assuming, us included, that it's going to be a package deal because that's what it sounds like. But they're not committing in unison unless they decide to.
well, yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure it's a package deal, but
I agree, but I'm
the
saying
the the,
Melvin's.
the, the wording of limiting or limited is where I get hung up because what is limited about their school list? They're limited because they didn't mention Penn State, Okie State, or Iowa. I don't know. Okay.
Well, to be fair, Oklahoma State's on Melvin's list, just not on Bo's list.
Okay.
No, I agree.
Yeah, I don't know.
I do think, for what it's worth, that they're going to end up at the same school. That's not set in stone, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, so I mean, another guy in the chat. If I was Melvin, I'd go to OSU or PSU because I think that door's still open for him. Of course, it's still open for him. But that's you. That's you. You would go to one of those two. Maybe Melvin doesn't want to go to those two. You're assuming that he's not going to other schools because of Bo, when that doesn't seem to be necessarily the case, number one. And number two, even if it were, the choices that Bo has are not bad choices. I don't know. Like wrestling fans, fans tend to say like, well, wrestling only has a couple strong programs, and then also say every wrestler, every prospect in America should go to one to three schools. Make
Well,
up your mind.
I also think it's because of the message boards. Because people go on the message boards and they take those as Bible, and it's like, well, Bo would have fallen out with Iowa and whatever is going on with Penn State, and so bridges burned. Well, just because you read on a message board doesn't make it true.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I don't get it.
But I
Um,
digress.
I mean, Penn State fans are probably saying, why doesn't Melvin go to Penn State? But at the same time, and I'm not saying I'm not for 1 second saying Melvin can't surpass any of these guys or beat any of these guys out for the spot. But have you looked at Penn State's future from 65 to 84? So what are you talking about? They got a lot of bodies there. They got a lot of talent there. I don't know.
Are these links in the show notes? Are these drunk Willie links or are they actual show notes?
Let me see. Oh no, I was thinking about, doing a political podcast.
I used to have
Right.
one. I'm debating bringing it back.
Let's do it. Let's do it together.
Before I had
You won't.
Baschamania, a good friend of mine, Billy Howell, and I had a faith in politics show. It was kind of short lived because he was so busy doing so many podcasts. So I stopped. So like I kept wanting to do a show, and he was so busy. So I said, "Heck, I'm going to start my own podcast," and that's when I started Baschamania. But when Charlie Kirk got assassinated, we put back. So I had Charlie Kirk on that podcast, and so when that happened, I had put our we put that episode like back out, like in honor. I think like during maybe the memorial, so like in honor of this, like here's the episode with Charlie, and so it got us talking. He's actually in Rochester. I got to get together with him because he wants to bring back that podcast, but we'll see.
I would love to do.
Cody Pelver says would listen to you guys do a political one every day, even though I'm a quote unquote hater.
I just the Charlie Kirk, and this is a wrestling show, so if like you guys don't agree with me and my politics, that's okay. I don't want to spend too much time on it. But the Charlie Kirk thing, and I'm not even like I've never been like a big Charlie Kirk guy. I didn't watch him. I mean, I watched.
I love the guy.
I think every clip that I've ever seen, I think he was doing great work, great stuff, good stuff, and fostering conversation. But just the story of that itself, what he did and his murder, like it just was a tipping point for me. It's like I gotta vent about
It was a turning point.
political and community stuff and just the temperature of this country. And I would love to do I'd love to do a political show, but again, it would be much better uh, to do with to have a partner.
Yeah, no, that'd be imagine we do Bash in the Brain on Monday to recap the wrestling weekend, and then Tuesday we go live to. All right, so.
Yeah, we should.
All right, Willie. Any final thoughts? I think we covered everything. Nice little hour show on this Monday. We're gonna aim. Let's aim for another show on Thursday, Friday. Hopefully, some big news comes out. It's always harder when there's not as much going on to do a second show, because I've never been the type of person to do a show just to do one. I get it, and if you look at the biggest podcast in the world, they kind of make up for the lack of activity in the off season with different stuff, but it is harder in wrestling. But all right, that's the show. Go look at Willie's new rankings. Comment.
Yeah, go look
below,
at the rankings.
Subscribe.
And seeds for Super 32 will be updated in the next week or so. I put out a couple iterations of them. Bash, we should do a show where we talk sports for 10 minutes and then get into politics, and then we say go Bills.
All right, I love it. I'm down 4-0. Go Bills.
Go Bills.